What's going on, people? It's your man the YB back once again. So we got some truly baffling and unfortunate news right now regarding Terence Bud Crawford, aka the greatest fighter of all time. The IBF, who is one of his belts, Terence Crawford was the undisputed champion. He owned every belt after he pushed back Errol Spence's wig. However, one of the belts has decided, as you can see here now on your screen, the IBF have now officially confirmed that they've stripped Terence Crawford of his IBF World Welterweight title because they ordered him to fight Jaron Boots Ennis next, but he could not fight the mandatory due to Errol Spence's rematch clause. As a result, Ennis has been upgraded from interim to full world champion. Now, this is truly disgraceful, people. Yeah, we've had people like, I'm not being funny, I respect these guys in their own right. We've had people like Canelo, I think even Lomachenko, Triple G. They fight maybe once a year and they kind of hang around. Sorry, not so much Canelo, but the point is, Canelo doesn't defend every belt. I mean, he has 4 belts. He doesn't fight 4 times a year. So the point is, these guys in the past who have had many belts, Golovkin, Lomachenko, they fight whenever they can. Sometimes they're injured. Sometimes they take time off. Yeah? And they do what they can and they do whatever they're doing and no problem. Never hearing no one getting stripped. You just don't. Name me the last time you heard of Canelo getting stripped. Haven't heard of it. Name me the last time you heard of Golovkin getting stripped. Haven't heard of it. In fact, them guys usually relinquish belts. They kind of just give it up because they're bored of it. I think Golovkin gave up his belt. He's got bored. Even though he wasn't even active. He wasn't even fighting people. But he got bored of it and just give it up. That's how them man usually get down. So for Terence Crawford, a man who's literally been getting it how he living, been beating the best fighters, or beat the best, I mean, at the time, Errol Spence was top 5 pound for pound himself. Terence Crawford went in there and he smoked on that. Literally, 4 months ago, 5 months ago? How can you smoke on? I'm trying to think, actually. What belt was it? What belt? They've stripped him, wait a minute. They've stripped him of the IBF, but the IBF was held by Errol Spence. So that's baffling in itself. How can Terence Crawford only just got that belt? Fact. And we know this because Kell Brook, back in 2015, he had the IBF belt. Errol Spence beat Kell Brook for the IBF belt. In fact, Terence Crawford only had the WBO when they fought. When Terence Crawford fought Errol Spence, he had 1 belt, the WBO. Errol Spence had the other 3 belts. So, Terence Crawford beats Errol Spence 4 months ago, gains the IBF belt, and is already being told he hasn't been given a year. He won't fight Boots. So, and usually how it works is, if you have a rematch clause, which he does, that's like built in. It's not a built-in excuse, but that's built-in reason why you don't have to fight your mandatories. You've got a rematch clause. Look at AJ and Usyk. AJ and Usyk had many mandatories lining up, which now Usyk's now fighting. But in that fight, I mean, AJ fought Usyk, yeah, lost, and then they spent a whole year before the rematch. There was no stripping going on. They were given a whole year to rematch, and then another 6 months for Usyk to start fighting his mandatories. Who did he fight first? I think it was Dubois. It was Dubois first. You see what I mean, though? AJ and Usyk fought in, the first time was when? I'm trying to think now. When was the first fight? Was it September? Was it September or October? It was August 21, I think it was. Or September 21, somewhere around then. September 21, AJ fought Usyk. It wasn't until October 22 or August 22 that they fought again. And then it wasn't until August 23 that Usyk defended his belt. So it's been 2 years since someone fought a mandatory. for them belts that AJ held. AJ fought Usyk as a mandatory. The next mandatory was 2 years later. AJ fought Usyk in August 21, right? It was 2 years later, in August 23, that the next mandatory was served against Dubois. So, what are we doing here? Terence Crawford wins the belts and is being stripped already. This to me sounds like it stinks to the high heavens of an inside job. Of a hating ass dude. There's some hating ass Nick out there, bottom line. Because it's not like it's controversial. Terence Crawford push her Nick wig back differently. If anyone, never mind 2 years to fight a mandatory, if anyone has earned the right to take some time, and it's not even like Terence Crawford's taking time. As far as Terence Crawford's concerned, he's rematching Errol Spence, which is the standard protocol. Errol Spence, by the way, is the one. Terence Crawford won the fight, which means he can't force Errol Spence back in the ring. Terence Crawford, I believe it's something like 6 months or something like that. Errol Spence has 6 months to initiate the rematch clause, of which he has not done yet. So Terence Crawford, he can't do nothing right now. He can't legally or contractually fight anyone else. Why? Because he's still contractually bound by Errol Spence. So a man who's contractually bound, who has no choice, you're stripping him. After such a performance as well, one of the best performances in the history of the sport. And you're stripping a man. They didn't even give him a year. Like, that's just, for me, that's mind blowing. You didn't even give him 6 months. Literally, when did they fight? They fought July 30th or something. So let's do the maths here. To August, to September, to October 30th. 3 months, literally. It's been just over 3 months. Terence Crawford's held the belts. Held the IBF belt, and they've stripped him already. I've never heard anything like it. And I think this document even says here that Terence Crawford can't fight because of the rematch clause. Well, that tells you, how can you strip a man who can't fight? Anyway, before I finish up, let's talk about this clown here. Because this clown here, Boots Ennis, he has been upgraded to champion. He was the interim champion. This is the guy that Terence Crawford was supposed to fight. And he's now basically out here like goofing off, like he really done some. What's going to be their excuse now? So he's celebrating basically, like he done some. Listen, you got given a belt that you've done. Can anyone here tell me who Boots Ennis has beat? I'm into boxing. I'm not a hardcore fan, but I'm a casual, a high-level casual. I can't tell you one person he's beat. And that's what makes this worse. It's one thing, let's say, for example, I don't know. Let's think of someone. I don't know, but let's say someone's on the come-up trail. Let's say Boots Ennis has beat a Keith Thurman. He's beat a Conor Benn. He's beat, a few contenders. He's beat what's the other guy's name? It's another guy, I'm sure. There's a few guys that have been knocking about. Stranionis. There's a few names. I haven't. Stavionis, one of them ones. There's a few names out there. I think De La Hoya's got a fighter who's kind of knocking around. Either way, let's say Boots Ennis, has beat a few of them. He's beat a few old school ones like Danny Garcia or Keith Thurman. He's beat a few new school ones like Stanionis. And then they say, hey look Terence, you need to fight dude because he out here getting it how he living. You'd say, okay, fair enough, but this not again. I watch boxing. I can't tell you one person Ennis has beat. And I've heard on the grapevine that his last fight was against a bum and still he ain't do none. I think he went distance, went 12 rounds. Terence Crawford out here smoking on pound for pound top 5, smoking on them as well. Yeah? Boots Ennis out here fighting nobodies, going 12 rounds, and somehow he gets elevated. You're stripping the greatest fighter of all time. Factually speaking, that's just what it is, people. Terence Crawford is the greatest fighter of all time, and you're going to strip him in record time, in 3 months. to elevate this clown. It makes you wonder, really, what's the basis for this? Usually, I hate to be coarse, but usually someone's been sucked off. That's my bet. My bet is Jaron Ennis or one of his man in the team. Probably Jaron, to be fair. Because the way Jaron's celebrating, he's celebrating like a groupie hoe. Yeah? When a groupie hoe finds out that she's allowed onto the bus. When a rapper tells a groupie hoe, yeah, you can come on tour with me. That's how this guy, let me have to look at this guy, look. Look at this guy celebrating, look. What's going to be their excuse now? He bugging. He proper geeked. He geeking over it, people. I'm trying to find it now. One of my Donnies came through and exposed it, but there's a thing on here that shows how goofy, how corny dude is. Because he a proper cornball. Where is this corny ass dude? I can't even find it. Either way, man. He part of the goof troop for sure. Yeah? That's what that man's Jaron Ennis. Is it here? It's one of these ones, I'm sure. Your man Jaron Ennis, he a goof troop. He goofball. He goofy with it. Yeah? He ain't serious. Here it is. Oh, here we go. Yeah, what are they gonna say now? Look at this guy, look. Look at this guy, tongue out like he really some. He's got his what they're gonna say now? I'll tell you what they're gonna say. Yeah, they're gonna say you ain't do none to deserve what you've been given. You've been put on somehow. Most likely. Yeah, this is one of them Fred Beck ones. This is one of them Wade Plem ones. Yeah? How do these idiots keep getting put on? Oh, that's how you get put on. You've sucked some executive off. More time. But that's just what it is, people. That's how these man keep getting put on. It don't make no sense. What are they going to say now? Are you joking? They're going to say you ain't done none, and somehow you've been put on. That's what they're going to say. Like it's really quite fascinating what's going through these people's minds. I ain't gonna lie. Anyway, I'm out. Before I go, for you man who don't know, all of my channels have been demonetized. So I'm out here begging right now. Any Donnies out there who can support the YB, I appreciate it. Link in the description. Link in the comment section. Shout out to my doggy Alistair. Shout out to my doggy Frank. Shout out to Ashley. Shout out to Siraj. And also I'm putting out there, anyone who wants me to do a video on any topic, if you send $20 through, PayPal me $20, and in the comments of that donation, put in there the question you want me to answer, and I'll do it. I'll dedicate, for $20, I'll dedicate a video to that question. Send the donation in, and in that donation, put in the comment section of that donation what you want me to talk about, and I'll chop it up. Exclusive leaked video on that topic, so you know what time it is 100%. Any boss Donnies out there who want me to talk about a specific thing, doesn't have to be boxing, can't be boxing, cannot be boxing, anything you want, send the $20 through and we'll be chopping it up 100%, no doubt about it.